And of course, in 2015, the prevent duty became a statutory duty in the public sector, but there are some private companies who have chosen to adopt the prevent strategy, among them Tesco, McDonald's, and River Island. The next question would be for Dr. Layla. If you could just break down for us this move from countering violent extremism to countering extremism and what that meant for the application of these policies.
I think that move from countering violent extremism to countering extremism, and initially it was like countering ideological extremism, and then a further move to countering non-violent, non-ideological extremism, reveals this kind of evolution of prevent, whereby, you know, it's expanding almost to show that it's less discriminatory, but in doing so, it's just targeting everyone and allowing for the definitions to be so vague, like everything about the counter-extremism strategy, such that you can use it at will, and it allows for a lot of power for the person making the referral, to the people seeing these prevent referrals through, and anyone essentially being targeted by prevent finds themselves in this position where it's all a very kind of grey area. I think one of the biggest shifts that we have to see when it comes to the evolution of prevent is that it took the focus away. When we're looking at violent extremism, you're looking at the person who's committed the crime, right? You're looking at a person who has either committed a violent act or is going on to commit a violent act. By removing that focus, it then started to look at people who were vulnerable, right? So it shifted it from the perpetrator to potentially somebody who was vulnerable to the perpetrator's ideas. And that shift allowed it then to target children even more, because now every single child is potentially vulnerable. You can't say every single person in the UK is a potential terrorist, but you can say every single person in the UK is vulnerable or susceptible to these ideas. So that shift in focus, I think, is a really big thing that I'm not sure has really clicked in many people's minds as to how prevent has evolved. And by doing that, it's opened up a space where there's a lot of overreach.
And thanks for that, Dr. Layla. This question is just a general one for any one of you. It seems to me that, you know, the Equality Act says that in the public sector, you know, you can't be found, or in general, you can't be found to be discriminate against somebody for their political or religious beliefs. But essentially, prevent is asking that of people who apply it. In addition to that, you know, it's generally known that the duty of care exists of employers, meaning that if somebody gives the indication they're going to harm someone, then you would have certain obligations. But prevent, as has been made clear, takes it into the realm of policing people's opinions and even policing the way people dress, for example. Now, I think that John did speak to how the prevent priority areas aspect of this policy represents a form of spatial Islamophobia, as it's put in the People's Review of Prevent. But what I wanted to ask Dr. Layla was also this assertion of the review that far-right extremism is seen as a problem of individuals rather than communities. Could you expand on that point, please, Dr. Layla?
So I think we see this when issues of far-right extremism are being discussed, definitely. So you see that the far-right extremist is considered, you know, the loner. And even in some of the cases that we've received as Prevent Watch, the majority of our cases are from Muslims who have been referred as, you know, under the Islamist extremism type category. But we have got a few of the cases from far-right extremism, and a lot of it, you know, you can see the way the case plays out is very different to the way in which a case plays out if it's a Muslim child. So if it's a child that's being referred for far-right extremism, you see that the focus is very much on the child's views. They don't expand and then go into the family and think the family is a problem. or the entire community is a problem. Whereas if you have a Muslim child being referred for Islamist extremism, the family's under scrutiny, the entire community is under scrutiny, and you get these things that we see in high-profile terror attacks as well, where the masjids are approached, where do you pray? And we're still having these questions in 2021 at least. I mean, I don't think we have any cases in 2022 where we have evidence of this happening, but definitely as recently as 2021, where Muslims are being asked about where they pray and issues of their belief and issues of their community, whereas that's not happening in the case of far right. Now, having said that, yes, we see a difference, but the whole justification around including far right extremism under the category of prevent is just a deflection. A lot of the issues we see, especially with far right extremist type referrals, are issues of racism or hate speech that could easily be dealt with with the current toolkit that doesn't need prevent.